I always tell people I don't do this to impress you, I do this to express to you what's really possible, because the truth is everyone can do this too, and so much more. Apply towards creativity and focus and flow and problem solving and thinking and really overcoming the biggest challenges of their life and maybe even the world. The challenge is we were taught a lie. We were taught a lie that somehow our intelligence, our potential, our learning, our memory somehow is fixed, or creativity is fixed, or thinking is fixed like our shoe size. And what we've discovered, as you know, more about brain science, in the past 2 decades, we've discovered more than the previous 2,000 years. And what we know is that we're grossly underestimating our own capacity to be able to grow, to be able to contribute, to improve our intelligence and our influence and our impact. And I want to kind of pull the veil behind and just say, hey, this is about transcending. This is about ending the trance that we're not good enough. That we're not smart enough, that we're not this genius, and telling the truth. And the truth is, we're faster and we're smarter than we think. And not just to be able to memorize things, but be able to really solve significant challenges. And maybe that these challenges that we're going through are the lessons that we need to learn the most. And then some people who learn those lessons feel compelled to be able to share that voice with other people. So it's not just one candle, we just can set things ablaze. I believe that the mind is more like a muscle as opposed to a supercomputer, that it's use it or lose it, grows stronger with use. But a lot of people aren't using it as much as they used to. And so, because think about it, before technology, how would you have to remember personal history and all your lessons? You would pass it around, share it over with stories like this. And that's why I love this kind of context. There'd be a fire here and we'd be sharing this and it'd be part of who we are. And I feel people are losing that ability. So I think storytelling is so important to be able to teach, right? Interpersonal skills, right? We know that IQ it's erroneous, right? This idea where you have a number and it's yours for the rest of your life and it's fixed and it can't move and it accurately describes your value in society. I think that's flawed. I think that we have multiple intelligences. So generally in the United States, we reinforce 2 kinds of intelligence. It's verbal, linguistic, and mathematical. Growing up, that was the SATs. It was verbal and math, right? And if you're not good at either one of them, it's hey, that determines whether or not you go to a school and everything else like that. But what about interpersonal skills? That's got to be at least as important to be able your ability to connect with individuals, which you have in spades. What about besides interpersonal skills? What about intrapersonal skill? Just self-awareness. Because as Gary Vee talks about, I think self-awareness is a superpower. Awareness of yourself, your own condition and what motivates you, what drives you, your own beliefs, identity. It's about what to learn, but not how to learn, and how to think for yourself, how to solve problems, how to be creative, all the things that you can't outsource to automated or technology, or you can't outsource to Asia. Our value in this world is really our creativity, right? Because that's not something that's easily outsourced. Our ability to create value, be creators, take our vision and turn them into reality, take the invisible and make it visible. But where are the classes on that? Right, on how to be able to live your best version of yourself. That's why I love this and the conversations that we have and the conversations that you're bringing out to the world, because nowadays, we live in this, see, here's the thing. I get to work, you mentioned with SpaceX and Elon and such, and rocket scientists and all these, think about that. We're living in a world of autonomous electric cars and spaceships that are going to Mars. But our vehicle choice when it comes to learning, it's we're choosing a horse and buggy. Right, that's our choice, and that we wonder why. Wow, this is taking so long. This is so hard. This is so difficult. But it's not our fault. We just weren't prepared for this world that we're living in right now. They say that if Rip Van Winkle, the gentleman who slept for decades of slumber, right? If he woke up today, the only thing he would recognize is our schools. And that's not a slight against teachers. My mother's a school teacher, my aunt is a college professor. I love those individuals because they're some of the most hardworking individuals that I know, and I get to train a lot of them. But it's a systemic issue, just like many challenges. It doesn't grow and it hasn't evolved as much as the rest of the world has. But I love this because right now classrooms, they don't have 4 walls. How many people are watching this from how many different countries right now? And you never know who's listening on the other side. And that inspires the heck out of me. Because what if someone right now is watching this on their smart device and they're in the middle of a third world country and they become the next Malala or Elon Musk or what have you.
Right.
And that's what really juices me. And so education, I feel like a lot of people feel like that when they graduate school, their learning is done. In fact, the two big dips in cognitive performance is usually when people graduate school, and the second one is when they retire from work. So often when people retire, their mind, they feel like, their body is not too far behind either because of that connection. The most successful people on the planet that having the level of impact that they want to have to go through challenges. And it's just like the hero's journey that we've talked about many times. And so how I get myself through it, I monitor my self-talk because I think that's important. I feel like with a name like Kwik, you have to be a runner, right? And so I had to be a runner back in school and to be careful getting speeding tickets and everything else like that. But I remember I was reading a book years ago on preparing for a marathon, and one of the chapters, again, was on the psychology of it, and it said this verbatim, because I'm the memory expert. It said, your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. And I always tell people that, and now I don't think the brain is like a supercomputer. I think it's a weak metaphor for what it is, because this is like a living computer that could do so much more and has different capabilities. But I would say that your self-talk is important, and it is the program that we will run. And I always tell people to keep it positive, keep it empowering, because your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk, right? And you have to be careful what you say to yourself because it's this unconscious command. So I would be very careful, like when I get nervous or I feel like I think some of the most successful people live at the edge of their limits, and they play there also as well. And so whenever I feel in my nervous system, I feel like I can't do it, then I feel like I really must do it, because I feel like how we do anything is how we do everything.